Hello everyone! Welcome to our online event titled Boosting School to Home Communications, Proving Strategies and Tactics. Our guest speaker today is Dr. Jill Gildea, Superintendent of Fremont School District 79 in Illinois. I'm Deborah Woods, Senior Marketing Specialist with SchoolWires, and I'll be your moderator. Engaging parents and boosting school to home communications is a priority in Fremont School District 79. And creating the environment that celebrates collaborative practices is central to the district's vision and promotes school-home connections. In today's event, Dr. Gildea will share how her district has implemented best practices in the K-12 parent communications for future-ready schools, how they've addressed the challenges and hurdles to effective parent engagement via communication strategies, and how they've juggled the many demands of preparing today's child for tomorrow's world. You will receive tested tips and tactics that work and that you can use today. After the presentation, you'll also have the chance to ask Dr. Gildea some questions. Our guest speaker again is Dr. Jill Gildea. She has served as superintendent at Fremont School District 79, which is a pre-K through 8th grade district, for the last 5 years. She is proud of the 2,300 talented youth, the 297 outstanding employees, and dedicated 7 board members. Prior to joining Fremont 79, Dr. Gildea served as superintendent, assistant superintendent, director of educational services, curriculum director, principal, divisional chairperson, and teacher lead across several school districts, which included urban, suburban, and rural from pre-K through 12th grade. Her ongoing efforts to engage stakeholders in continuous improvement centered on 21st century skills have been recognized by the National Association of School Superintendents. And this year, she was a finalist for the Superintendent of the Year for 2014. Congratulations, Jill. So without further delay, welcome, Jill. The mic is all yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Deborah, for that very kind introduction, although it makes me sound old to hear up my career there. The thing that, Deborah, maybe you know or don't know is I actually started my career as a publicist. So right out of college, I actually ended up working for Disney Educational Productions in film and video production from the PR angle. So I find, believe it or not, that job role really informs my work as a superintendent. So I'm happy to share that with you as well. In addition to working as a school superintendent, I'm also a parent of 4. So part of the stories or anecdotes I'll share with you today also come from a parent perspective. And I have some examples of some wonderful communication hints and tips that build homeschool connections, even from the collegiate level. But I also have some examples with a new principal this year at my daughter's school whose efforts to increase communication have actually stumbled a bit. So I'll share some of the things that have happened and maybe some ways that we can fix that situation. So I'm hosting here from Lake County, Illinois, a township school district serving 2,300 students. And our students feed into 3 different high school districts. So that also presents engagement and communication challenges, as you might imagine. We span 34 square miles, and we're a fast growth district. We serve portions of 7 communities. Communications has always been an area of increased focus in our district and has received a lot of attention and a lot of positive recognition, which has been exciting. Our schools are situated on one campus, and our closest students have a 3.5-mile bus ride. So really all of the students are bused to campus, providing easy access, timely information. It's exceedingly important to us as we truly serve not only as the learning organization for our communities, but as a community hub. Fremont's vision is deeply embedded within the culture of the learning organization and the communities we serve. So many of the strategies that we use really give a nod to the history of the school district itself. The district's a consolidated district that actually opened in 1957 and was a K-8 school. We now have 3 schools of approximately 800 students each. Along with the vision, the district has core beliefs, and a few of their core beliefs I really feel linked to the communication and a homeschool connection that we're talking about. So these 3 beliefs, that parents and school staff should be equal partners in children's learning, that the responsibility for building partnerships between schools and home rests primarily with school staff, especially school leaders, and that schools are a reflection of the communities they serve, are really a part of our mantra of our homeschool partnerships and our communication strategies. And I have a little made-up poster here that we have. Great schools have support from the communities and support from the staff. One of our key strategies is that our staff members are our key communicators, and that's something that we remind them all of very often. I have drawn a little bit of research for you in the area of homeschool engagement, and a new wave of evidence is an article that I'll research from Dr. Karen Mapp out of the Harvard Graduate School of Education. She's an expert in school, family, and community partnerships, and this is where our 4 major premises of our communication system comes from. The findings that Dr. Mapp identified in this very solid research base involve keeping parents educated on this type of research on homeschool partnerships, sharing success stories, and involving key statistics with engagement and involvement efforts, and those can be very motivational for your district and your schools. And I see even the ongoing conversation below the PowerPoint here, connecting already with the Twitter handle and things like that. So you can see, even as participants in this workshop, we're very interested in connecting and engagement. And so that's a very natural outreach. You can imagine parents really want to be involved in their schools and in their students' learning programs. So the findings that Dr. Mapp identifies are here on the slide, that students with involved parents are much more likely to earn higher grades and test scores, be promoted, pass their courses and earn credits, attend school regularly, have better social skills and improved behavior, and graduate and go on to post-secondary education. And we find that as well at Fremont. So we find, as we track our students as they go to their different high school districts on a number of different metrics, including their average ACT scores, how many attend post-secondary education, be it a 2-year or 4-year program, as well as scholarship awards. And you can see from the findings here on the slides that they've been very successful, and we definitely celebrate that with our communities. Something that we follow here at Fremont are characteristics of high-performing schools. And basically right now what is so exciting in education is there's truly a convergence of data, convergence of research, and some pretty consistent findings, coast to coast. So we really look at these high-performing schools, these different strategies, the alignment of our vision and mission, our desire to improve, our commitment to learning, our use of data and measurements to improve performance, as well as this 5th aspect that we find so critical, which is our concern for people. And the homeschool partnership is a huge part of that. The 4 strategies are the 4 pillars of our parent school connection. Our homeschool strategies include these areas: proactive programs to foster positive interactions with parents. So well thought out programming, well thought out events and activities that really center around students and parents together, offering opportunities for parents to become involved, informing parents of classroom management and instructional activities, as well as making accommodations to meet the needs of families of diverse backgrounds. And that is an area, when you're speaking about reluctant parents, or when you're finding that parents are wanting the school to do everything, you really have to find these proactive outreach parts of communication to draw them in. And we'll continue to talk about those throughout this session. As some of you identified or you've noticed, you do have to have a plan to pull in the reluctant parents. And a lot of that is keeping the parents informed and engaged. And I'm glad Deborah responded to the last few messages. I do agree that next webinar in October is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to attending it myself. But here are some strategies that we've used that we find have been helpful. And that is to send brief and timely emails, posting assignments online, asking specifically for feedback and support, hosting back to school nights, and giving good news. We find that our most successful engagement and the ways that we've boosted our homeschool communications the most are in timely, student-centered messages, because if the students are involved, that automatically interests the parents a lot more. Some different things that we found that have been helpful are some summer e-newsletters. One very quick way for those parents who like to do the quick drop and dash that some of you mentioned in the discussion board down there is to open the year with a meet the teacher and supply drop-off. It's very quick. It is very exciting for the families and for the students to get to see their classroom and meet their teacher. And it does establish that informal interaction and engagement before the year even begins. We also offer back to school nights, family nights focused on different content areas, including technology. We've had a lot of success with offering some technology hints and tips for parents, as well as internet safety. We also have partnership events. So partnership events such as a fitness festival where the families come and they walk the grounds. We're situated on a beautiful 100-acre campus, and we have a wonderful little 5K route through a forest preserve that the parents engage in and take part in. So part of the communication strategies involve activities that are student-centered and central with students. We are still a district. We have 36 languages that are spoken here in the district. So we are still a district that really promotes cultural awareness, diversity awareness, and cultural proficiency. And we continue to work on that. All right. Some of the ways that we know our efforts are working is that we do have some nice indicators of success on different surveys that we offer. What I find interesting about this is that in our most recent 5 Essentials survey, our middle school actually has had one of the highest ratings in the area on including and engaging parents. They have the most implementation rating. And this is a tribute, what we believe, to our teacher websites and our grade books, as well as our learning management systems being accessible and available to our community and our parents. Survey after survey reveal high marks in communication and keeping parents informed and involved. And I think part of the questions that have been going through the list here are, what if the news is not so great, and what if you have some bad news to share? And I think the major tip or tactic there is that if you start with a positive, I think it's easier to establish your relationship and rapport, building positive communications, because then when you do have to call or contact with a not so positive message, it is better received. It is very important to have an awareness and cultural proficiency so that you know when you are communicating with people of diverse backgrounds, how they might be receiving a message. And I think that's a great item that was addressed there in your ongoing conversations. Involving students is really central to our positive homeschool communications boost. So you can see here an image of a student actually presenting to the board. So if we want to highlight something about technology and tech engagement, we actually have students show what they are doing in their classes. And that, of course, builds not only parent involvement and staff involvement, but stakeholder involvement, because over 30% of our residents do not have any students in school. Our website is interactive. We actually have a dashboard where people can click in to see different indicators and different measures of success, including communications. so that we really depend on our SchoolWires partner, our website partner, to really make sure that we are present, visible, and interacting as much as we can with our public. Some of you have mentioned some challenges that you've faced with communications and hints and tips surrounding those. It is great, I agree, to share the good news, but there are times when you run into some challenges. So one of the challenges we find is the number of clicks. When you're wanting people to engage and interact, you really have to make it very quick, very clear. People do not want to read major long articles anymore. They really want a catchy headline and a couple of key bullet points to keep them informed and gain their interest. We find that 90% of the people are reading only that headline, and it really goes down from there. So incorporating visuals are key in our messages. Gaining the media's positive interest is harder than ever. So it is something that, again, when you can get photos and images and provide the story for the media, they have a tendency to pick it up a little bit faster than if you're asking them to come out and cover something. One of our future goals includes more of a, and SchoolWires is assisting us with this through our mobile app, and that is personalized, targeted communications. So something that we are really looking for our next step is helping to personalize our messaging even more for parents so that they will find it more meaningful. And I think you're definitely hearing a thread and a theme here about really involving and engaging the students. We have found that if our students are a part of an activity, are presenting, are enthusiastic about an event at school, we get a lot more parent interest and parent discussion. As I mentioned, culture and climate is a huge piece of the homeschool partnership, because the culture is something you feel when you walk into a building. The climate is something that's pretty changeable, but boy, that culture is really deeply embedded. So we have to really create in our schools a culture and a deep-seated belief in what we're doing and promote and share that as much as we can. Each and every staff member that interacts with our public and with our parents is communicating our message. Some facts on culture and climate, and these are right out of Gallup's studies, is that 51% of supervisors say that they recognize employees who do a good job, but only 17% of employees at that same organization report that their supervisors do well at recognizing them. It's the same thing with our homeschool partnership. We think we're putting it out there. Oh, look at that. Someone was principal of Fremont. How cool is that? Thanks, Kevin, for commenting on that. You know how important it is then, to outreach to our variety of communities. But I find this interesting, this fact and this statistic, because we think we're doing a great job. We really have to have that two-way communication to know that we're doing a good job. Student-centric feel-good stories are really an important part of inspiring and engaging our public. Photos have the greatest chance of gaining publicity and interest, whether you're using Facebook, Twitter, or your website, or even different teacher websites and teacher newsletters. Highlighting and focusing on students and their academic successes gains interest with the broad range of stakeholders, as well as the students themselves and the parents. We have very few parents anymore who aren't allowing their students to be photographed, so we really we have a great outreach that way, that we can really promote what the kids are doing. And here in this little slide, you're actually seeing the entire 8th grade class participating in a fundraiser, a service project, or actually a service project, not a fundraiser. And then that service project did gain some interest with local media. So that positive buzz really helps your homeschool partnership, homeschool engagement, as well as your reputation throughout your community. We also track our communication efforts. That's one part of our homeschool communications. We can tell how many parents are clicking in through our website to our different articles. So if we send out a weekly e-blast, then we actually have links back to our website, and then we can measure that. This actual clip or this image is actually a Facebook tracking. So you can see when a person or an employee, a student is involved, we get many more hits and much more interest in the stories. Our focused effort at Fremont also includes communication rollout templates that we work on as an administrative team so that we're all on the same page, so that we're putting out consistent messaging. We feel like that's really important. We also identify our urgent priorities each year, and in sharing those urgent priorities, it helps keep us focused. You can see that we do use as part of our website, and then we push out to social media. So we do push to both Facebook and Twitter, and we do have a lot of interaction with our parent community through Facebook. And once again, I know there's always that concern about potential negative publicity. However, we find you can actually even see, even in these articles, you may actually see that I've even posted a comment or even a response, because part of this homeschool communications is being very visible and present to your community, and that does mean being human and, you know, having a comment. So we do actually encourage those that interaction and getting the right story or the correct story, the factual story out there. We have a lot of, we believe in face-to-face communications as well. As much as we love our website, we love working with the learning management system. We have great interactive grade book type of system, but boy, we really also encourage the face-to-face, or even providing video clips on our website of different meetings that we've had so that we can keep people informed. But again, very, very quick. People are not watching 4 to 6 minute videos. It has to be, 30 seconds up to a minute, minute and a half at the most. So I've highlighted some of these through my talk, but here's just a little list, some of the newer strategies we've implemented or tweaked, and these include some specific targeted communication campaigns. On Facebook, we have different themes that we're working with. So we try to focus a story on use of multimedia, especially as we're moving to a one-to-one initiative in our district. Some tech hints and tips, things that we use here at school, but also things that parents might be able to use at home. So again, providing that resource, support, service to our parents. Our internal or our little school-wide theme this year is Wild About Learning. So you will see a lot of curriculum-based updates on Wednesdays in our Facebook posts. Throwback Thursday is just what it sounds like and what Facebook is kind of known for. We go back into the archives, and I think, Mr. O'Connor, we may be looking for a photo of you in the near future to post up there on Facebook to say, look at that, we're still connecting with people far away, but how fun is it that we have Fremont friends all over the U.S. And then, of course, highlighting those fun events and partnership activities that we promote. Our School Wires website's informative, it's mobile app ready, and it receives very high marks from our current as well as our move-in parents. People who have come to our area or are seeking out this area always make comments about these efforts. And thanks, Kevin. I'll look for your connection. That'll be fun. We do push our messages to social media as well, and some of you have mentioned Twitter. Even brief articles, whenever I'm at any kind of band concert or a classroom visit, I'll snap a quick photo and do a quick little update. Even if it's a brief school safety update, bus drill update, because keeping parents involved on even the management and instructional things going on within the schools helps to keep them informed and involved. And the more informed they are, the better chance you have that they can be a positive communicator, a key communicator for your district. Something that we really have a concerted effort on at Fremont is to provide those recognitions for students, for staff, for different divisions and departments. Fremont has achieved the Meritorious Budget Award for the past 3 years. Only about 9% of the school districts do receive that. It basically recognizes transparency in budgeting processes, but then pushing that recognition out and sharing that with our parents lets them know that we are known then as a transparent district. Fiscal responsibility is a key area in our school district. It's one of our vision principles. So we are very cognizant of that, as we are whole child development. We're not a school district that's focused only on test scores. We really care about the development of the whole child, and that's deeply embedded. Whenever we do a survey or a little input poll, we try to get the word back out to parents as to what the result was, because so many times communications and connections feel one way. We try to always get back to parents to say, this is what you're reporting and this is what we're doing about that suggestion. And the quick polls or interactive polls, which you can do right through your SchoolWire's website, is very helpful to us. When we need greater amount of information, we actually have even done some telephone surveys. Those are very time intensive, but it is another hint or tip, especially for the parents who might seem a little reluctant. The best way to find out why that is getting them to a meeting or contacting them personally. We find still today that personal invitations work probably the best in trying to engage parents. The other effort we really make is to connect our community information and our school information. So we really try to keep a network going and to have people feel that the school is part of the community is part of the school. And that's a little bit more of a challenge here with 7 different communities, but we feel that that helps promote our home school partnerships as well. So as you're looking for kind of a checklist of things that you're considering as in boosting homeschool partnerships, a big, huge piece of that is the welcoming environment that you feel when you walk into the school, or even as you're coming to drop off the students. If you have people there greeting the kids, that's huge. As soon as we have our bus drivers actually learn the kids' names, that becomes a huge piece of homeschool connection. You have to also ensure in your district that you have policies, practices, and procedures that encourage homeschool connection. You have to make sure that right from the top, at board level, superintendent level, that everybody feels that same urgency in highlighting this as one of your efforts, one of your engagement efforts. The other thing that I think some of you have mentioned through the stream of conversation here is that authentic engagement. If you're asking a question, make sure you really want the answer. That's a time-honored hint or tip. But if the board is not ready for the answer, you probably don't want to put out that question. And then prompt response times. So if you're hearing from people, you do want to get back to them. Even if there is not an immediate policy change, you want to get back to let them know that they were heard. An organization that we are really interested in right now, just a web-based, is called Public Schools for Tomorrow and Public Schools That Work. So we're very interested in public schools that work as a voice of promoting things that are happening across the nation that are very positive in education. Other resources that I gathered for you, Edutopia always has fun articles. Those of you that are on Facebook, you can actually create, even as an administrator, you can actually have photos of your family and those kind of fun things on Facebook, but you can also pull Mindshift, Edutopia, Rethinking Schools, all kinds of interesting interactive sorts of posts and sites that help to encourage parents to learn more about schools and education. And I actually have time for questions from you. I would love some interaction with all of you because you all had some great ideas going through the discussion stream, but I couldn't keep up with all of them as I was chatting. What do you use for polls and what app is one of the questions. And we actually do use, I saw Google survey we do use as part of our Google Forms, I guess it is, as part of our surveys. We also have a little app where we can do a quick poll. How are we reaching parents that don't have access to technology? And that is a great question. We actually surveyed on that, and actually we do have 98% of our parents do tell us that they have a way to access information via the internet. So we find that through smartphones, through the library, that there do seem to be ways that people are accessing this information. See. Oh, Poll Everywhere is also a great site. That is correct. All right, I did tell you that I would share a few examples or stories from my own, from a parent perspective. So I can tell you that from a parent perspective, we have a new principal at my daughter's school. And I can tell he's a really enthusiastic principal, and I'm excited about that for him. But what he is doing, he's stumbling a little. He informed parents there would be a weekly email, but it turns out that sometimes there are 3 and 4 emails a day from his office. But the problem is the emails are coming through. It'll say, you know, attached, please find the athletic schedule. But then a few minutes later, the next email will come out and it will say, oops, you know, I forgot the attachment. But that's happening more often than not. So what's happening there is the homeschool connection and partnership is becoming a little frustrated from a parent point of view, because I'm learning that I shouldn't open the first email. I should really just wait until the end of the night and then maybe click on the last email that comes through. So I think one hint or tip that I can offer is to please take your time with communications, because it is better to delay slightly if you need to, but have everything that you need in the communication versus sending out sporadic or what feel like frenetic messages. For our families that do speak other languages, we actually do offer bilingual Russian and bilingual Spanish here in our district, and we do actually have interpreters and translators that go along with all of our different meetings. Let me see, we have some other questions, I think. We are not officially involved in the Welcoming Schools partnership, but I will certainly look into that. Our communications are bilingual, English, Spanish always, and then our website is able to be translated just through the Google Translator. It's a great question. We have we do have a BPAC, Bilingual Parent Advisory Committee, and that committee is very engaged, involved, and interested, and it's something that has really taken off at Fremont in the past few years. Students are involved in the activities. We do have translation available in multiple languages, and we do involve the kids and have a great amount of support with that program. I do see a question here about, can the presentation be shared? And I am certainly happy to allow anybody to access this PowerPoint, and I hope that people will use whatever is helpful for you. How do we deal with parents who don't have time to support their child's learning is the age-old question, engaged students and engaged parents. And I think what we have to realize in our educational day is that we probably during the day spend more time with our students than our parents have a chance to spend with them. So we really have to think about our curriculum, instruction, assessment, and our overall delivery of instruction so that students can get the bulk of what they need here at school. And what we try to provide at home are a lot of hints and tips, a lot of fun activities you can do at home with your students, but we have to really look at the the main part of our homeschool partnership is just to extend or expand the learning, not to replace core instruction. The virtual backpack that was mentioned on the slides is something that we put in place to try to get away from all the paper copies. So basically any of our partners, our PTO, our foundation, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, any of the groups that would like to send a flyer home, we basically just scan those and we send those once a week, typically on a Friday, because that is when the parents are used to going through this different information. So that is the virtual backpack. So it's basically a replacement of sending home all those paper flyers. And actually people do really appreciate that. We have heard that. Our research on our communications show that most parents appreciate the weekly email as a communication device, followed very, very closely by the teacher websites and the calendar feature on the website. Let's see. For our teacher website, there's a question about, are there expectations that are identified on the teacher website? And we do have, I've mentioned SchoolWires is our web provider, and the teacher website, it is a content management system. So it does have some key components that are on every page. So that way people can navigate the pages pretty easily. Once they've had one teacher, they can mirror that type of pattern. So we do encourage teachers to have their schedule, homework, something about them, something about the class, and we do encourage photos whenever possible. And the students do a great job in many classes of updating that information. That becomes one of their stations or activities in the classroom. Strategies that we've used to integrate a welcoming climate through our entire staff is honestly listening. My key strategy with that is listening to the staff. A happy staff, a staff that feels empowered, a staff that feels like their voice is heard, is a staff that I think is more open than also to hearing suggestions and feedback. So I've been here for 5 years now, and I'm finding that I spend a good deal of time listening, supporting, and encouraging this type of positivity, and I do think it pays off. You have to have fun in the work. There's so much that's going on in public school right now and in education overall. I think we have to remember the key reasons that we're here, and we have to value each and every one of those young people that walks through our doors. And I think as we model that, and as we talk about strategies and set up positive collaborative opportunities for teachers, that goes a long way to building the culture and climate of the staff in the school. Let's see, do family members have the opportunity to serve on an advisory board or a steering committee for schools? Absolutely. We have a full complement of committees, as I'm sure many of you do in our schools. We have many board policies that actually come to life via the committee structure. So we have a very active health and wellness committee. We have a very active key communicators group that includes parents. I do have a monthly informal meeting with the superintendent, so parents can come in and offer opinions and ideas, and we have nice two-way dialogue. We also do, as I mentioned, personal invitations with parents to come in and serve on our Title I team, on school improvement teams. In Illinois, we are part of continuous improvement process that also links with research called Wise Ways. And very often we will measure or assess our policies against these Wise Ways, and we will use parents sometimes for a short-term committee. A lot of parents will do a short-term activity, but they don't really want to make a long-term commitment to a process. But I have had good success in encouraging families and parents to participate in those. We also have a really big focus here on student voice and integrating and encouraging student voice within our schools. And that has as you might imagine, had a very positive homeschool partnership impact. We actually had several students at our last board meeting on Monday night taking some notes and doing a report on civic engagement and participating in your community. And as you know, that really does make parents who also then attended and the students themselves feel a part of the overall operations of the school. These have been some great questions. Do you make sure that all communications have an overarching look and message? We are a fairly small school district. As you probably heard, actually 75% of the school districts across the U.S. have 2,000 students or less. So actually as a small district, I guess we're in the majority there. So we do actually have a logo. And the logo here at Fremont is what looks like on the earth and then the profile of two students. And it has the mission statement, preparing today's child for tomorrow's world, kind of circling it. So that is standard on any of our communications. And then our school colors are green, black, and white. And so you'll find that we do a lot with green and a lot with the logo. Those seem to be the only things that are standard in our communications. Oh, you'll laugh at this question. How large is your communications school community relations team? That would be one. That would be a one-person team. And our communications director is named Margaret Van Duke, and she's just phenomenal. We're actually very active in our Illinois National School Public Relations team, as well as with the national organization. So we are pretty interested in PR, and we do know in Illinois anyway, there's a direct correlation between your property taxes and your schools. So we definitely want our stakeholders to feel they're getting their money's worth. How much text messaging is used versus email? Currently, we do use a lot of email messaging because that had come out loud and clear in our surveys as the preferred way that parents liked receiving their messages. However, I do believe the next time we do that survey that might have changed a bit. So we do use texting in the event of an emergency notification, any kind of bus issues. If a bus is delayed, we will do an email as well as a text. So we try to get that messaging out consistently and as quickly as possible in both formats. And how many staff help with the systemic effort? There's, as I mentioned, one communications director, and then all told, we have approximately 13 administrators in the district, and really it does take everybody as well as our staff members to make sure that these efforts come off looking seamless. Volunteerism, like most school districts, we really do promote volunteering in the schools. We do have several programs that are in place, including being a library support here at school. So as parents come in for kindergarten meet and greet, we will have the PTO and the foundation reps at tables asking how parents would like to volunteer, kind of setting that expectation that we are all part of the homeschool community and we look forward to seeing them. So as you know, that was one of the 4 strategies, is to really have many opportunities that you can put right out there for parent involvement. We have some parents that come and listen to children read. We have some parents that come and help promote handwriting practice and help us facilitate a handwriting mastery. We also have the background check process for volunteers, but we as a district would support the fees for a background check versus having the parent do that on their own. Let's see. You guys have had some wonderful questions. Thank you. What I found interesting in this last survey that I shared on the one slide is that our middle school is really having a lot of success with including parents and involving parents. And I don't know how many of you have that experience with middle schools, not typically known for that. So I was actually excited to see that. I'm so excited you guys have asked us some questions. I have a few questions for you now. So I do have a couple of polling questions that I would love to see some of these answers from the 200 or so of you that are still on. We actually have over 200 participants in this seminar, which is exciting. One would be, let me see if I can post this for you. In what ways does your classroom, school, or district promote positive communications most often? Please choose one. I want to see if Fremont's in the majority here or if it is different than all of you. And it does look like the websites receive very high marks, as do we. Excellent. So you can kind of see those numbers still coming in. So it does look like the website still is a way that many districts are promoting positive communications most often. Something that I think we are also seeing quite a bit of is working through the learning management system through the classrooms. If you are on a one-to-one initiative, that's a nice way to get news out to parents and students. We're going to close the voting on that. And then let me see, another poll question for you. Which tip or tactic that you heard about today or that you even heard about in your list of questions would you be most enthusiastic to try following this webinar? Personalized targeted communication strategies with a mobile app, website news announcements, increased presence via social media, in-person conference or focus groups, or finally, access resources and conduct a walkthrough of your schools. That was one of my suggestions that I didn't talk a lot about, but it is, there are several resources available where you can measure your school's efficacy towards home feeling welcoming and all of these different strategies that we've talked about. You can go through with a checklist with your principal and see where you can measure your successes, and that might point to some areas of improvement. And that resource was actually linked in the final slide, the resources slide, so you can take a look at that. And we need all of the above. I like that comment. Thank you. So it does look like people are still encouraged by that face-to-face, in-person conference or focus group activity. And I will tell you, in a limited amount of time, you can get a great amount of information from your parent participants, because those willing to come or talk with you on the phone are probably willing to give you their honest opinions. Great. The last thing I'd love to ask you, I'd love to ask you about the condition of your website. Do you think it's excellent, average, poor, or non-existent at this point? Okay, a lot of averages in there. So the things that we hear at Fremont that parents love about the website is they love the images or the visuals. So I think that's really key, is to have great visuals, which I think many of you have noticed already. It takes a lot of taking photos. We have parents send in photos. We have our teachers take photos quite a bit in school. We have students do some photos themselves based on the activities they're doing in class on their iPads. They sometimes submit a photo to us. Or we do have the communications director also taking some photos and images. All right, so it does look like most people feel like their websites are average. So they do take time and attention. I noticed that in the questions as well and in the comments. Great. You guys have been such fantastic participants. I love that people were interactive and engaged throughout the webinar. That made it actually a lot more fun. I just wish I could read and talk at the same time a little bit quicker. I will tell you another quick stellar story of communications. I have 4 children, as I mentioned. One is actually graduated from college, and she's secured a job in her field, so we're actually thrilled about that for her. So she had what I would call pre-traditional collegiate experience. I have the next son's in a private school. Third son actually traveled out of state, and I am so impressed with the collegiate communications and with the homeschool partnership at this university. Their emails and their outreach of their professors to the students include a parent email address. So we actually, behind the scenes, are still involved in hearing from the teachers at the university level. So that teacher to parent communication, I think, and establishing that partnership continues even through the collegiate level, which is very encouraging to me as a parent. So I don't know if I should say the name of the university here in the webinar or not, but we've definitely been really, really pleased with this experience. I'm available for a few more minutes if anybody has any other questions. I did see that we have a question about, do we offer after-school activities for our youth? And absolutely. We have a full range of extracurricular clubs and activities, both before and after school. And we do have some intramural as well as conference level sports activities as well. Oh, look at that. David says he doesn't think parents should be involved at the university level. And I would say that I have not been very involved with two of the kids, but to see this other side of it with this third child who's an engineering major, I will tell you it's just been fascinating, because I don't think that parents turn off the support just because the kids go to university. I think that we do need to be partners. We're paying the tuition bill after all too, right? But certainly the work is on the students themselves, and any of the reminders are really going right to the kids. But anyway, I just found it a very positive communications effort, and I thought it really did establish more of that feeling that you're a piece of that school environment. We have how diverse is the student-parent population. So I think I mentioned that we do have 36 different languages spoken in the school district. So we are a multicultural, multi-global school district here at Fremont. So the bilingual programs that we offer are Russian as well as Spanish. And then we do have Polish, Korean, Mandarin really close behind that. And I do agree that cultural proficiency is an area that we are all studying, are all researching a lot more, and have a lot more awareness that we do need to communicate different ways, different means, in order to have our parents be engaged and involved in our schools. What we have found with certain groups, especially our bilingual parents, when we do offer programming specifically for our parent outreach committee, our parent outreach community, we do have events and activities, but when we also ensure that there will be translators, that there will be ways for the kids to be involved, that there will be childcare, we have a much better turnout than if we don't do those things. Our parents of students with special needs are also part of our parent outreach group and our parent outreach community. And we do find that our parents of students with special needs are just as engaged and active as our other parents. We also do have great participation in the IEP meetings with multi-tiered system of supports. And we do have some parents that resist any type of label, any kind of special education label, which I think is referenced here in this question. So in that regard, the answer is communication and education for those parents and for the team, so that people do really feel a part of the child's educational journey. And that also points to a lot of personalized learning initiatives that we do here at Fremont. We have a good amount of interventions and activities that are based on students maybe using a program right at their level. So students in multiple levels within the classroom can still be working on improving their strengths and strategies, learning strategies, but not competing or comparing themselves against their neighbor. Elementary students, I read a great article the other day. I should probably add this to my resource list. It's about kindergartners that are tweeting. So are elementary students ready for social media as a communication tool? I believe yes, especially if their audience is their parents who are on Twitter. The teacher actually started with an image based on a science class, Caterpillar to Butterfly, and the kids tweeted what they were learning and posted the image and the tweet, and the parents loved it. So I would say, don't, if your school policies allow it, district policies allow it, don't be shy. Do Twitter communications adversely affect sentence construction? Probably. Although I've been able to do it pretty successfully. I mean, I always do a complete sentence or two whenever I am tweeting out. So I have not gone into informal language with our stakeholders on Twitter or on Facebook. That's a great question, though. What sites do we use as resources to explain current education trends to parents? And that is a great question, and we use many resources. We do actually have a parent resource page link as part of our website where we do try to pull current sites such as Common Core. We are connecting quite a bit. Illinois is finally kind of up on that issue of getting out some common messaging. So we actually have a lot of nice resources right from the state. As I was working on this presentation, I actually found exceptional resources from New Mexico, Texas, many states that have some great hints and tips on homeschool partnership and homeschool engagement. Great questions. Our involvement with the National PTA, interestingly, we do actually, as part of our Common Core communications, we've actually partnered with the National PTA. Otherwise, our school district is part of the PTO, so parent-teacher organization, versus the National PTA. So it's more of a local organization. We also have a Fremont Education Foundation that supports innovative practices, and they do more of the corporate grant writing and fundraising. And thanks for sharing that for Parents tab. I appreciate that, Deb. How welcoming are your schools of ideas and programs that parents suggest? You know, we try to balance what being everything to everyone with what we can do as part of our core mission. So as you read, our vision is about whole child development, collaborative practices, and fiscal responsibility. So we really look at those umbrellas, which are pretty broad. Then we look at the mission of preparing today's child for tomorrow's world. And then we really look at our fiscal responsibility, at our resources, and what we can do. So we have a self-sustaining summer enrichment program where many mini courses are offered, and those are almost always based on parent suggestions. We do have a group of parents that would love a dual language program here, and we simply don't have the resources for that right now. So there are some things that we aren't able to do immediately or instantly, but we definitely put those into our strategic plan brainstorming so that we can set priorities that have included parent voice. And I want to thank you so much for your participation today again, and it was just a delight to be with all of you, and I loved seeing all the different states and locations that people have come from. You've done just a wonderful job, and I've been happy to be a part of it. Thanks so much.